everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of our Switch 2 48 hours later discussion. We're now probably 72 hours later, if that's how math works. I don't know when I'm actually posting this. In any case, we could not fit talking in depth about Mario Kart in our previous discussion. Now I want to dive in deep, now that we've had a couple or 3 days to think about this game at this point. Because I think, as a huge Mario Kart fan, I'm inherently excited for anything new Mario Kart, but I will say, when they first showed this off, I'm like, is that just Mario Kart 8 Deluxe again? It's like, maybe a new desert course? And I'm like, I don't know if that's quite, what I was hoping for from Switch 2. Especially because, Tom, you hear me on this. I was really hoping for Double Dash 2. For like, that Double Dash mechanic of 2 people in 1 car. But I will say, after diving in deeper on this thing, I posted a full analysis video that I hope a lot of you have seen by now. I'm actually getting pretty excited for this thing, because that's when the differences start to stand out. And I still think it's a little weird that they didn't market it more in a way initially where like those differences were more obvious. But after taking a deeper look at this, I'm like, this actually looks like it could be pretty cool. Of course, we now know 24 racers at once, double any other Mario Kart game, which is freaking crazy. And then of course the maps look like they could be massive this time. You have the desert, you have what appear to be possibly multiple branching paths, or paths that can open up maybe dynamically or based on preset configurations they select beforehand. We don't know, but it looks like there are like movable barriers at points that could easily move out of the way for an alternate route. And like when the camera pulls out at the end, you can not only see just how massive this world is, and I say world as if maybe it's an open world, we don't know, but at least this map. And you can see like multiple paths that like branch off like way into the distance, and it's like, wow, this could be the biggest Mario Kart ever, at least in terms of like the amount of terrain you cover. So I'm curious to hear what we all think about this game now, a few days removed, and how you felt in the moment and how you're feeling now. Let's start off with you, Nick, again. How are you feeling about Mario Kart? I think you're a big Mario Kart fan, right? How are you feeling at the reveal, and how are you feeling now?
I am a big Mario Kart fan. I put in a lot of hours into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm ready to play the next big thing. My biggest concern is I'm hoping that it's more single player content, right? Like, you look at Diddy Kong Racing and it feels kind of like a platformer, even though it's not. You go to these different worlds, you beat these different challenges, you fight a boss, and then you move on to the next world. I hope that there's a catch or something like that in this new Mario Kart that allows me to play it by myself. Because I played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe all the way through. I've gotten all the gold cups, all the challenges or whatever, all the gold trophies, 3-starred everything. So to go back now, I really just go back to play with friends. But if there's something there that I can play, like the challenge modes from DS or something like that, to get me hooked to play single player content, that's what I'm looking for out of this one.
Right. I can see that. Daan, do you agree? Like, is that what you want to see more from Mario Kart?
I mean, at its core, obviously, I just want it to be a racing game with hopefully a very big battle mode as well. We haven't seen anything of battle mode. Please make it also 24
24 people? Oh my god. Just shells everywhere.
It would be fantastic. Like, do like a full remake of Donkey Kong Stadium, but made for 24 people.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
So you're feeling are you feeling pretty good about this then now, or?
It's from the first moment I immediately saw, because Mario looked different. That's the first thing I noticed.
He did look different. Yeah, a little stretchier.
Yeah, and then I saw Donkey Kong.
Which, that has been the most divisive thing, actually. Maybe on the entire Switch 2 reveals, Donkey Kong's new look. Which, is both seemingly a throwback to his original designs, but I think, for me, it looks more akin to his Mario movie design, which was, of course, partially based on his past. It was like a combination of his past and the Rare look.
Like how intensive Miyamoto was about redesigning him.
Right.
It made sense for him at some point to come back. I didn't think it would be this soon.
Well, real quick, to that point, Don, it's hilarious that happened not only on the day that Donkey Kong Country Returns launched, but also like just 2 weeks after it opened in Japan, where they had the full body costume based on the original design. Like, is Universal pissed off right now, Nintendo, for changing their main character?
Yeah, I would imagine so. I can imagine that would be fully on board with that.
Yeah.
But also, to be fair, it's based on existing games in the franchise, so it does also make sense in that sense.
Right.
But in general with Mario Kart, it looked fun. That's the most thing I got of it. It looked fun. With the openness of it when it zoomed out from above, And I was like, oh my god, are there actually more racers here? And I started counting. There are, right?
Yeah.
And then I looked at the characters, and I looked at the overall scope of the map, and I saw the little feet of the little barriers moving. And I was like, okay, they are taking a very different approach to this than from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that makes me very excited.
Tom, how are you feeling about everything now? I know you're a fellow Double Dash fan like myself. And
Yeah.
Who isn't?
I made a very important wardrobe change to put on this generic white shirt. Oh, wait, let me turn around.
Yes! The Double Dash shirt from E3 2003! That's amazing. Tom and I,
That's
real
amazing,
quick,
yeah.
we got so many of those freaking shirts because we played that demo so many times. I somehow eventually ran out years ago, but Tom has managed to retain at least one until now. That's amazing,
Yeah.
Tom. And it still looks good.
It's by not wearing it for 10 years. So
Oh, wow.
That's a secret.
No holes, though. So, no,
Yeah, I know. All the other ones were like holy and like rags. Like they didn't even last as rags.
I had some of those Daan shirts. I was using them as rags at one point.
You're just like, they'll last forever. Then there's like, I don't know. It's just like any resource on this planet. It just goes away.
So, Tom, as obviously a huge Double Dash fan, then how are you feeling?
it like the trailer was. I'm sure they designed it in such a way where you see it at first glance. It's like is this more of the same? Like they're more of a cuter, chibi look to Mario and stuff, being smaller. But then reflecting on it, and especially watching your analysis, seeing the scale of it, the possibilities, different track layouts, I'm excited again. It's like it's not exactly what I wanted. Like they didn't. Like there might be a gimmick in there, as we know, but it's just nice that it's not more of the same. Like I feel like this will truly be different, and probably in a good way. So
I hope so. Yeah, I had a whole video about how Mario Kart needs to change. You've been playing the same basic game for 10 years. And that's why I was concerned at first, because, at a quick glance, especially in those first few seconds, it looks like the same Mario Kart you've been playing forever now, And I know some people just want, they'd be happy with just more Mario Kart, but I wanted to feel a little different. And that's why I was initially a little disappointed. Clearly no Double Dash mechanics, clearly nothing super new from what I could tell, again, at a quick glance. But then you take and you look at it a little bit more, and it's like, okay, I'm starting to see what they're doing here. It's seemingly, 24 racers, bigger racetracks, maybe that Wonder Seed item, possibly, by the Yoshi Cafe. We don't know for sure that's what that is, but there's some kind of new golden item, and the Wonder Seed seems like a great way of kind of mixing up the gameplay. That has some kind of crazy effect on the race. Maybe causing a weather change, or a dynamic track change, or making all the characters big, or who knows what. Again, I have a whole video about this. Go watch that video if you want to see my crazy ideas I mocked up. And kind of to your point, Daan, you mentioned how it looked fun, and I think for me, I didn't immediately see that. Like, obviously Mario Kart's always fun. But to me, it looked a little dry, and not just because it was in a desert. But again, taking a closer look at things, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see the ideas of future fun here, right? But we didn't see any items being used in the trailer. In fact, all the characters are almost racing strangely uniformly. It was really weird. They all power slide at the same time. I'm like, what's going on here? It's like follow the leader.
I do think not showing items is likely intentionally, because
I'm sure it is.
With so many characters, there's likely going to be a new set of items.
This is what yes, because my initial thought is this is going to be complete chaos. I don't think more racers is inherently a better thing. I don't know if I necessarily think 12 in Mario Kart 8 is better than the 8 we had before. I'm not saying I dislike it, but I will say it definitely feels more chaotic. And when you're stuck in the middle of that pack, it kind of sucks sometimes, You're just getting bombed left and right. You got bananas and shells flying everywhere. And it's making me think they're going to have to to some degree, reimagine how items work. Or, not, obviously they're not going to go from, from ground zero here, but I think they're going to reimagine some of the items at least, because I just think it will be complete freaking chaos if you have 15 shells bouncing around, right?
I am not gonna lie though, I think once online lobbies are a thing and there's a frantic option, I still would go for the frantic option.
Yeah, see, I never use frantic. It's frantic enough for me. No, I like items. Some people want they want pure racing action. I'm like, no, Mario Kart is so boring if you just play without items. But then on the other hand, too much chaos is too much for me, So
I thrive under chaos, to be honest.
Fair enough. I do like Baby Park. I'm a Baby Park believer, and that track is insane.
Yeah, Nick, did you have something to say on this? Or?
Yeah, so since we're gonna have 24 racers, right? And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, with all the booster course pass, is backwards compatible with the Switch 2. Are we not going to see any previous tracks coming back? And I say that because, can you imagine 24 racers on Baby Park?
No.
Well, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I
so,
definitely
like, no.
do want to see that. I want to see that. I want to see items going everywhere. Like, that has to happen.
I mean, it could, but then you would need to drastically reimagine every track they would bring back. I almost feel this could be sort of a reset, because 8 Deluxe was sort of the be-all, end-all of every Mario Kart game imaginable, with how much content there is outside of, say, Tour. So, like, for a mainline Mario Kart game, it will not get any bigger than this. So, taken in a sort of weird direction, I'm sort of down with that.
I think it's interesting. I to answer your question, Nick, no, I don't think we'll get retro tracks, and I actually kind of hope that's the case, because
I do too.
yeah, we played 100 of them now basically in Mario Kart 8, and I'm good right now on that kind of track. And I think now looking at the potential more open tracks here, if again, maybe it's a full open world, we don't know, but assuming it's not, even assuming these are just big individual areas with multiple pathways, which is still really exciting. I think that really opens the door to a new type of gameplay experience for Mario Kart, which I don't want it to be bogged down with older tracks. And plus, I think too, knowing Nintendo now knew this about this new design element for the game, they're probably like, well, with that out of the way, with us not being able to reuse tracks in the new game, let's just throw them all out there on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in the booster course, And it makes a lot more sense now. It's like, well, they know they can't get mileage out of them for a while with this new more open track design. And yeah, I kind of really just hope we just have this kind of like fundamental change in how the tracks, look and feel. And we didn't even see anti-gravity here. Not that it can't be here, but maybe it's not,
I think, though, on that platform in the distance, I think you are right. For that sign that shows it, that might be an anti-gravity area.
It could be.
In that level.
Yeah.
But it's not, I don't think it's, it could go either way, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's good, because, once again, with how much content there is in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, with 2 Mario Karts basically being playable on Switch 2, you want to do something different, and I feel being inherently different is never a bad thing. We've had, with Mario Kart Wii 7 and 8, sort of a similar formula. I think it's absolutely fine to do something completely unique with it, and throw everything at the wall.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
That's a good sign to do that for this, because maybe 8 points are willing to do that for Smash Brothers. Later, hit that reset button. And I think with the tracks being reset, I have a theory that it's with 24 players, they're going to reimagine the rubber banding type system and bring in something similar to F-Zero 99, where shortcut routes open up for players in the back to help them get to the front.
Well,
What do you think about that idea?
That's awesome. I didn't even think about that, because your comparison with F-Zero 99 is the above track, right? Is that what your comparison?
Yeah,
That's
the
got
above,
it.
getting to the above track to help
Yes.
go into the further. I think they'll have something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that for players to take shortcuts and try to catch up instead of just mass chaos all the time.
And it doesn't give incentive to be in last place, but it's like, you can check out more of the course that you wouldn't otherwise wouldn't have noticed it before.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this too. Like, I genuinely think F-Zero 99 is one of the best designed games when it comes to a game essence sense. Like, it feels like, even when you're behind, it never feels like you're ever out of the race, but you never get a get out of jail free card either. You still have to work for it, And I think Mario Kart could tap into something like that, whether it's, a rainbow road above the track, if you will, that could be the new Rainbow Road. There's always one above every track. Or you go into the Mario Kart sewers, to get a chance of getting ahead or something. But yeah, I almost think you're right, Tom, that they'll need some kind of new way of rebalancing how the racing actually works. For people, but I feel, especially after Mario Kart 8, I'm so tired of seeing people fly by me in the Bullet Bill. Give me something different here. I need some different. Don't even let me see them pass me. Just just put them ahead of me somehow. It's just annoying.
That's 11 years of Bullet Bill.
It's a lot of Bullet Bills, yeah. Yeah, this 3DS. It goes back to the 3DS, right?
Just hop in a warp pipe and have that warp pipe pop up in front. That's what.
And it kind of speaks again to the whole item issue too. But that's an intrinsic part of how the whole balancing system works. And I think we're going to see some really innovative new items here, because again, we've been playing with basically the same roster of items, aside from 3, I think, that were introduced to Mario Kart 8 for again over 10 years now, and 10 years, for even the new items in Mario Kart. So I needed to feel a little different, even if they keep, the standard mainstays like banana shells and red shells and green shells or whatever. But also, Tom, there was another new mechanic possibly teased in this trailer. I touched on it in the analysis video, where we see there is a pit stop adjacent to the starting line, where you'd expect a pit stop to be. And we've had this before in Mario Kart, like Mario Circuit had a pit stop like thing, but in that case you had an item box and a booster pad to get, gave you reason to use it. Here there didn't seem to be anything. But then I noticed on the side of Mario's cart it says 1-up fuel, and I'm like, could this be a new mechanic where you like fuel up at these gas stations, and they can use that, I assume not for like actual gas, but because I think it'd be kind of lame to run out of, it'd be lame but hilarious to run out of gas and you just can't go anywhere. But you can use it as like a boost meter, where you can then boost, at times when whenever you want. And that could factor into the balancing, where if you're farther behind, maybe you get more boost, and that gives you a better chance of catching up. You can take shortcuts others wouldn't be able to, because you can boost across longer stretches of desert in this case.
Yeah, going to a pit stop, like, hopefully it's not if you're taking damage and you need repairs.
Right, like F-Zero, right. I don't think they go
like
to that
F-Zero, or like a real-life pit stop. Also, like, if you had to do things like put on different tires, stuff like that, like fuel makes the most sense, but like if there are different weather conditions, like different ways they could go with that.
That's an interesting point. I guess there is a potential for like some wear and tear. I mean, I don't think they'll go this far, but you never know. But like, what if your tires actually do wear out? Like maybe, if you go off road too often, you gotta change your tires more frequently, And these races do seem like they have the potential to be, longer than ever with how big they seem to be. Not that I think they'll go too far beyond, what they have currently, but you never know. Maybe there are more like longer specific modes. Like, here's a random example. Maybe you have like the standard 4-race Grand Prix, but the 4th race is a massive race. Like, it is long. Like, we're talking like 10-minute races or something, right? And that's where that really comes into play of having to manage your pit stops and your wear and tear or gas meter or boost, whatever it is.
I do think that sort of 10-minute racing sounds fun, but it also sort of goes against the design of what Mario Kart really is, which are quick in and out races. And I wonder if they really want to mess with that a bit too much.
Don't forget, the second Mario Kart ever had Rainbow Road 64, which took like half an hour to race on. Then they ruined it in Mario Kart Deluxe.
I mean, they got smarter.
Yeah, they did. They obviously I don't want it to be a battle of attrition either, where you just like whoever's bored the least wins, But I think Nintendo would find a way to make it fun if they do go that route, which I don't know if they necessarily would. But again, with them seemingly kind of rebooting it to some degree here, possibly, I'm excited by the potential of what it could be. And also I do wonder too if they tease this pit stop in the new Mario Party game, where there's a Mario Kart track, and you go to the pit stop, you can load up on dice. Nick, you had something?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking of other items that they can kind of bring in, or kind of like fresh ideas, reboot ideas.
Right.
And to go back to Double Dash, and I was thinking more so like Sonic in Sega All-Star Racing, each character has their own unique like super move. And we've seen that in Double Dash, right? Like, each character has a unique item. Like, with Bowser, you get the giant shell, or with Donkey Kong, you get the giant banana, or with Mario and Luigi, you get the fire. So to have, I mean, obviously they didn't tease anything like that, but to kind of have a unique item for each character, would just make each character feel a little bit more unique than they already feel.
I did love that about Double Dash. I'd just be worried about what that would mean for the meta. You know, people are going to find the best item and just use that, and that'd be my concern. But I do wonder there's like some degree of in which they could play around with that. Like, the arcade game does something interesting. I don't know if I necessarily love it, but before every race, like, I think it randomly assigns you 3 possible items you can get. Yeah. Maybe they could do something like that here, where maybe you can choose from like a tier of items that you want to be geared toward, and then it may give you those more often than others, for instance. I mean, one idea I had from my video for what they could change in Mario Kart is make it so coins are more useful, where you can like cash in like 5 coins and get a better item or something. You can better guarantee that, or you have more control over some of the inventory or items you have.
Because the way Diddy Kong Racing handles it, and I love it, it's like, oh, if you have a boost and you get an item box, it goes to level 2 of the boost. And if you hold it again and you get another item box, it goes to level 3. So, if you just pick up a green shell and you hold it, the next one you get maybe 2 green shells, the next one you get 3 green shells, maybe the last one you get is like a blue shell. I know that would be insane to do, but like maybe just stack it up like that.
Yeah, like what if that golden icon isn't a Wonder Seed, but maybe it's like a golden power-up box, and whatever item you have gets powered up by that gold box or something.
And a way to balance the game too, since there's gonna be 24 racers. I don't know if they're gonna stick with the 2 items per character. Can you imagine that? What is that? 48 items on the track? That would be insane.
It would be insane.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be crazy.
I don't think they will do something like you're suggesting with coins though, because like the player in front can easily grab the most coins and then get a better item that way, which would ruin the balancing of that a little bit.
See that I think they would obviously have to rebalance around that, and you wouldn't make it so the first player could get like a star or something. But I feel like they could play around with it, just because I feel like the first place already has first dibs on those coins anyway, and so that gives them a benefit as it is. And so I think that this could almost maybe rebalance in a way so that's less of a factor. I don't know. It's impossible to say without getting the nitty gritty of how this actually does work. I just know I don't like how coins work currently, and I would love if they did something else.
Like cash in coins, more coins appear behind the top players for players in the back to pick up.
It's not a bad idea.
Could be.
Like, you could almost have, like, the gold cars from F-099 have golden Lakitus come down, and they shower the racetrack, but behind first place, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, with so many players, I also think, like, it was a small thing in Mario Kart 8, but making more use of a slipstream, like more of other racing games are doing. So with a lot more players on front, you can sort of glide among them and get more speed that way and be more closer to them.
I think that's a really good idea.
You could be in your own, like, a biking peloton and break away from the peloton in a small group. Try to get forward.
I think that makes sense. Yeah. Or you make it more fun and bring the Thundercloud item back.
I love that item. I'm a huge fan of that, because they did take away a handful of items from Wii, right?
They did.
The Thundercloud was Wii. I think the Mega Mushroom was Wii. They took it out. There might be like 1 or 2 other ones that I'm thinking that they just completely gutted.
I think
Mega Mushroom would be kind of perfect, but
it would be great. Yeah, it would be hilarious as a mowing down everyone. I think actually, besides Double Dash, Mario Kart Wii probably had the most eclectic and maybe the most interesting group of items, I think. And yeah, Thundercloud, such a fun, like, risk versus reward type thing, but it does give you a benefit until it doesn't, you know? And they could find some way to do more of that. That'd be amazing.
Like, which reward items are the best? Like, I love the Thundercloud, because basically, you could go in front, but it'll also risk lose of becoming small, and basically being taken over by everybody else in the field.
Totally. Yeah, 100% agreed. We may circle back to items more later, because, you know, there's probably infinite ideas we could come up with. But I want to talk more about the idea of these more open tracks and what you guys are kind of like maybe thinking or expecting from it. You know, I don't know if you saw my analysis, but I have my own ideas there. But, you know, at the least, like, I'm confident in saying there's going to be multiple raceways, you know, multiple pathways through these courses. I'm just not sure if it's something that's, again, decided in advance or something that can change on the fly, which we kind of got like a light taste of in the booster course pass tracks, because the city tracks from Tour now have different variants that change lap to lap. So, like, you know, in Calamari Desert, I guess even Calamari Desert as well. But anyways, where, you take different pathways through the same environment. And I wonder if they're taking that to a much grander scale now. What are your kind of hopes for this? Like, what are you hoping that they do with these bigger tracks?
I love what they did with the city tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think those were really fun because they felt so dynamic. Especially like a track, for example, like New York Minute or Singapore Speedway. Those were really intense with how many twists and turns there were during the 3 laps.
Right.
I think it makes sense to have something of a grander scale in a new Mario Kart, because even if you can still twist them around a little bit, it feels like always like a dynamic race where anything can happen.
Right.
Yeah, and to go off your point, it's like the best game I think to look at. Like we saw in the booster course passes, and it's great design-wise, but it's just pretty, I want to say, bland. Like, it's not a spectacle or anything. But if you look at Sonic and Sega Transform, like All-Star Transform Racing, that game, like, the level, like, explodes, the bridge falls apart. Like, that is so much more chaotic than how they handle it in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So I would like to see it on a much bigger scale, or akin to Sonic and Sega Transform.
It's like more dynamic tracks, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, more dynamic.
I mean, you still need some sort of, like, guidance in factor, because Mario Kart needs to be approachable, right? Like, I love Sonic and Sega all Racing Transformed, but it's, like, more of an intense, more focused racing game with a lot more focus on the mechanics more than anything else. I think with Mario Kart, you need to keep that a bit more simple, and that's why, like, the booster course tracks were the way that they were. But with a more scale and a lot more space to do so, and not having the idea that you easily get lost, I think there's a lot possible where you can make the track dynamic without having that feel of loss.
Because that was an issue for me. At least I played New York Minute and what is the Los Angeles one? All those city-based levels in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So I know how to get around them now, but playing them the first couple of times, I'm like, where do I go? I'm so confused.
I still screw that up constantly. Like, I'll turn the wrong way. I'm like, oh god. I just don't think those tracks are very well designed either, but that's just me, the tour ones. Anyways, Tom, you've been trying to say something, I think.
Oh, just like more having a few tracks like Grumble Volcano that kind of deteriorated over time.
That's a good one, actually. That's a good. It's one of the few tracks that actually does change, throughout the course of it, beyond the city tracks.
Yeah, and that's more in line with how the Sonic and Sega Transform levels handle, because it's more of like a spectacle. And yeah, the final lap on that level, like, you just don't want to fall into lava, and it's pretty easy to get into there when you're in a crowd of people.
Oh my god, can you imagine racing 24 people on that freaking track on this little tiny pathway? Yeah, I don't know. Like, on the one hand, I like the first off, straight up, these are all I like all of this on a general level because I wanted to be different. I don't know if I loved how the city tracks changed myself, just because I don't know. It almost felt like a worse version of the one lap tracks, where I like those because it's fully distinct. Whereas I think kind of for like with you, Nick, I kind of get confused when I go around the same lap again, but it's a little different. I'm like, where am I going now? And so I kind of, for me, I guess I personally kind of hope that maybe there's multiple routes, but it's preset beforehand, and it doesn't change. Like, it's, by and large, locked in. By that, I mean the route doesn't change, but I'm happy if there's dynamic elements along the way that does tweak it or adjust it, But I don't know, maybe I think with the core Mario Kart team designing these tracks, maybe they would be really compelling if they are changing dynamically. And I did, in my analysis, I mentioned the cones that Daan brought up as well, that seem to be alive or have something alive in them, which is a little weird. And it does make me think there could be a dynamic element to this, where you see the cones like shift around, like the comments constantly mentioned in that video, the Toy Story cones in Toy Story 2 when they're crossing the street. And that'd be amazing.
Oh, they're just piling on features.
But it's depending what you like, right? I've heard both opinions when it comes to the booster course pack tracks, but it sort of depends. It sort of depends on what you really like in a track. For me, like, I like it straightforward. I know it was a little confusing sometimes, but overall, I really enjoyed what those tracks brought to the table in terms of using the map design in a different way and crossing that map design in a different way across it.
Yeah.
And I think that has the potential of doing something way bigger in the new Mario Kart.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think either way, whichever form this takes, like, you will get that. Like, you're going to be experiencing these tracks in different ways. And I think that's really cool. Like, as I mentioned in the analysis, like, you can see multiple branching paths. And I think, it almost looks like one, like, leads to, like, a distant mountain, possibly, And that'd be cool. Like, you go there on one race, and then another race, you're in a whole different area of the same map, It's almost like a little Breath of the Wildish. Not really, but, yeah.
I have a prediction.
Go for it.
That... well, I don't think the levels like world would be like one giant mushroom kingdom to go to like different areas. I believe
so. Not like Breath of the Wild, like my dumb.
Yeah, not like that.
Yeah.
But the areas will be dense enough with enough routes that they'll have events on the weekend like Splatoon, and they'll have like set little tracks in each area. It's like something to try, like a limited time race courses that'll only be available then gone again.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a good way to get people back in.
It makes me wonder if they're going to add more content over time, like a Splatoon model.
I think that's probably a safe bet. Maybe not at that frequency, but I think it'll be so smart to make Mario Kart more of a live-based title, especially since it's been so long since the last true new one. With it, having more dynamic, time-based elements. Like, I think the Splatfest are some of the coolest things that Splatoon actually does. Because, like, it feels like a community event. It's all different. You have unique music, and I think Mario Kart leaning into that could be really cool, particularly if paired with, community features we mentioned in the previous discussion.
They could definitely, like, tie in, like, what they did for Tour with this, well, to a different degree, but there were different courses based on the city tracks in general, or like based on different courses based on older Mario Kart tracks, and those would rotate every few weeks.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, a good point. Yeah.
So they could do something with that, absolutely. They have learned from that first experience, absolutely.
I have another prediction to build up on this.
Okay.
There are 24 racers in this, potentially in each track. Like, I know there's enough characters in the Mario universe to support this, but to continue building and have characters like Link and Isabelle, like any big Nintendo release, have that character also in Mario Kart. And keep building the roster over time.
Wait, Tom, are you saying like if the release of a new like Metroid game, like do you include Samus?
Yeah, you
like,
bring
to tie in-
Samus in or something
and then you
like
have
that.
like a battle pass or something. Maybe not a battle pass, but maybe you have
Yeah.
like again a themed event around that character to tie them in
Yeah.
to say, hey, play some Mario Kart leading up to the release of Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, later on, new Fire Emblem, you add 40 Fire Emblem characters to Mario Kart.
Honestly, that would actually be genius. Using Mario Kart as kind of more of a marketing vehicle, so to speak,
Yeah.
for their other IPs. As long as it's not freaking Mercedes again, I think that could be really cool, actually. And really
It's
fun.
going to be BMW.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just because I think
BMW
we're gonna
factory.
like I'd live with having the 8 Koopa kids in there because Roy's awesome. But I think just to build onto it, like they'd want more than just Mario. It makes sense to continue building it. It's what we all kind of said. Make it more like a Nintendo Kart, but still
sure.
call it Mario Kart. Like push
You
that.
know, I hadn't really thought about that. I mean, I mentioned in my analysis that with 24 racers, you're presumably going to need a huge
Yeah.
roster, so you're not seeing the same racers constantly. Now, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe already had a pretty big roster of like 40-something characters, but I think they're going to have to go even longer or larger than that. Now, they were already kind of like, scratching the bottom of the barrel in that game for some of those characters. Freaking Pink Gold Peach or whatever the hell that is. So
I mean, they still haven't brought any character over from Thor.
No, you're right.
So,
And that's
yeah.
going to get my next point, because while I obviously hope that they have crossover characters, then there's some people that want to go full Nintendo Kart, but I think you can do
Sure.
that as they already have to some degree. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But also, and Nick, you had a video about this too.
Yeah.
The possibility of customization, because you noted that Peach had her dress on, unlike, when she's riding a motorcycle, unlike her motorbike gear from the previous games, and it's made you wonder, could there be alternate costumes here like in Tour?
Yeah, like the princesses, I assume it's going to be the same case with Daisy. But we saw Peach on the bike, and she doesn't have her bike outfit. If you pick Paulina, Rosalina, and you ride a bike, you have a completely different outfit. And then Tor brought all these new outfits for all these different characters. It's like, oh, just click on the character and easily swap between whatever outfit. Again, like, everyone's going to be playing a bunch of different characters. But if I can play Mario in his, like, New York outfit, or Mario in his, like, beach or sunshine outfit, that would be so much fun.
That would be. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I think, actually, that would be such a great way of, like, kind of diversifying, because a lot of people want to be the same character regardless. No matter how big the roster you have, you're always going to have 20 Yoshis out there, right? Or whatever it is. Or where the meta is, Waluigi on the Wiggler, or whatever dumb meta is currently a thing. So if you can have, like, multiple versions of that, I think that would actually be really cool. And it could be, fun for deep cuts, too. And, like, I believe one of the vehicles that one of the characters is riding is, like, a throwback to, what the rally car from NES or something, you know, and they could do really more fun stuff like that. I mean, you already could do that in Deluxe, but you could really take it to a new level on here.
Bring back Rob.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my.
That'd be great. I want
bring
Rob,
back
darn it.
Or even in Tour, they have like the 8-bit versions, I think, of Mario
Oh, yeah,
and Donkey
that
Kong.
was
I
fun.
love those ones.
Yeah, they're so fun.
Bring Mr. Game & Watch, and he just kind of turns and avoids
He's
items.
invisible. Yeah, that'd be great. One point I want to touch on is, with 24 racers, it has me hopeful that the online's really good this time, in that they're going to make it server-based, hopefully. Because I did very little research into this. In fact, this is purely based on an AI-generated answers. It's probably BS. But it said something to the effect of how, like, peer-to-peer works great, works okay for up to 16 players. But beyond that, it may not be. And so I hope it's right, because I hope this really pushes Nintendo into using a server-based solution now. But I'm so tired of Mario Kart, where, like, I'll hit someone, and then they either, like, they get hit immediately on my screen, but then they actually, like, didn't get hit, and they just zoom off into the distance because they're totally fine on their screen. Or the reverse of that. Whereas I play F-Zero 99, which I'm pretty sure is server based, but I don't think that game work peer to peer. And that game's online is amazing. Now I'm sure there's some magic tricks they're doing, some smoke and mirrors to disguise, like the not perfectly synced game states. But my point more is, I want Mario Kart to have better online. Hopefully that involves server solutions, especially so we don't get random disconnects now. And I'm hopeful that it runs better on in this new
Yeah,
game.
they've,
with 24 races.
they've been more experimenting in the latter half of Switch with more other-based online solutions.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're already starting to look into different online solutions for Switch 2.
Definitely.
I'm going to say, like, I was kind of hinting at it in our last discussion that you can listen to about the Switch 2 in general, but like saying a Mario Fall Guys type game. But I hope part of the Switch 2 is just them building up on their online experience and back-end infrastructure to support more network games, because those are kind of truly the future of games right now, not just single-player games. So I hope Nintendo is really trying to take a step up in that regard.
Tom, you reminded me. What if it's not Mario Fall Guys? What if it's Mario Kart Fall Guys? What if that's a new battle mode?
Well, it's like a battle mode, or like I think it was Red Bull did a race like this for running, where it's basically like there's a car catcher, and whoever starts falling behind like gets knocked off. So it's like a battle royale racing game where like you want to stay above the end line, and eventually like it
does
will
something similar
end.
too as well.
Yeah, so like that. Yeah, something like that. So
That'd be cool.
All for it in a battle, bringing back a good battle mode. So
They do kind of need to reinvent battle mode, I think. I feel like they kind of fixed it with Deluxe. I still don't think it's amazing. It's at least, I don't know, maybe it's me that's changed. I feel like it's never, I feel like ever since the 64 era, they never figured out fully what to do with battle mode.
I would say that the best battle mode in A Deluxe is Shine Runners.
Yeah,
I do like that
good.
mode.
It's my favorite, but it's also probably the most broken, I think. Wait,
But it's so fun. But imagine 24 people Shine
oh
Runners.
my god.
Imagine it.
All I ask is that they reinvent battle mode and bring back Block Fort from Mario Kart 64 perfectly intact.
Just a massive mile-wide scale, yeah. That'd be great. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with that. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential there, especially with 24 racers, but again, it could be completely chaotic. But
That sounds amazing.
it does, doesn't it? Like, it could be really fun. So I want to see how they pull that off. And I just hope it's good. I just hope that they don't, botch it like they did with Mario Kart 8's initial release, where they just did something stupid.
But just to your point, I think, for example, the thing they added didn't work because Cops and Robbers, for example, that mode wasn't all that fun. I think like
the idea is
if
so
you look
good,
at-
it just didn't work.
The idea is so
well,
good, it just doesn't work.
like Balloon Battle and Shine Runners were just completely 100% fine and just fun. I think they just needed to add more battle stages in general. There were
would
just
help.
8 of them.
Yeah,
and they didn't add much after that,
No.
even with the booster course pass.
I kind of, actually kind of to your point, I think there's so much potential actually in that Cops and Robbers mode, even though, the one they had there wasn't, perfect. But I do like those more objective-based ideas, and I wonder if they could explore more things like that. Like, what if there's like a tower defense battle mode? Like, half the team is defending a building or whatever, or a stronghold, and the other half is like trying to invade and get in. I think that could be interesting with
sure.
Mario Kart mechanics. Yeah.
Even to that point, I think it's sort of a side tangent. Maybe bring a mission mode back.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of ties
That's
into
pretty
Nick's hope for a better single player, right? Like,
Yeah, Diddy Kong Racing style. Because, I mean, Mario Kart's fun, like you said, it's going to be fun regardless. But when I go back to Smash or I go back to Mario Kart, and I already 100% of those games, I just want something that can draw me in a little bit more. Maybe, like, make the story mode or make a story mode replayable over and over again. Something like that just
Right.
ties me back into playing. If I'm just playing by myself or waiting for friends.
Right.
It didn't really help that the deluxe version of Mario Kart really didn't put an emphasis on going for the Grand Prix, because most was unlocked from the get-go.
yeah.
Like, if you look back at Mario Kart 8, it wasn't great, but at least you had something to do going through the tracks and exploring them a little bit. I think that's also the problem with this being already 11 years on since the Wii U version came out. It feels so done and dusted at this stage.
Yeah, it does. That's why I made a whole video like Mario Kart's gotta change. And luckily, it seems like they maybe to some extent, if not a big extent. Yeah, I guess for me, I'm kind of like torn on single player, but I feel like unless they go all in, I don't care. Like for me, I play Mario Kart multiplayer mostly. Like I'll hop online, and play with them. But that's not to say I don't want it, because if they did do a Diddy Kong Racing caliber like full-on adventure mode where like it's got a hub, you're going world to world, you've got an actual story, however light and dumb it may be, like that's cool. I'm there for that. But if it's just like silly missions against, silly races against computers, like I'll just go online and play that instead,
I mean, sure, but I also think like the mission mode in DS and the few
It was
missions
cool.
they did on
Yeah.
few missions they did on Wii, which were like 5. I think they only did 5 through Wii Connect 24. Those were really fun.
But wait, there was way more than 5 on Wii Connect 24. Do you mean 5 types, or?
No,
There's
there
quite
were
a few
only
on.
5 missions they ever released through Wii Connect 24.
I didn't even
No,
know they
wait,
had
I remember
any.
there being way more than that.
No, there were not many. There was only one boss, the Galaxy one.
All right, it's been a long time since I've done it. I thought, wow, if
Yeah.
there's only 5. That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that could be interesting and maybe fun, but I also feel like it's the kind of thing I wouldn't return too much. Like I want them to go big. I want the big story mode. That's what I want. I'm locked in on that.
It's so expensive to create, like expensive in a development side to create bosses and stuff like that. Like that's what I want to see. Like imagine in a lava level and you have like one of those blarg things like chasing after you or something. Like, but the payoff is like maybe the people are only playing through it once, while it might be better to do all the focus on multiplayer where everyone's gonna be playing that forever. That's it. That's a sad reality of why we don't have another Diddy Kong racing like game.
But Mario Kart literally makes billions of dollars. I don't know the exact amount, but it makes a ton of money for Nintendo. Darn it! Give me my single player Mario Kart or my single player adventure Mario Kart.
Yeah, you have good. But what was it, like 50 million? Like what ridiculous number did it reach?
Oh, God.
I think we're at 60 now, maybe
60,
65.
Jesus. Is that like what? That's almost half the attach rate for the Switch itself. I think.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's an absurdly good attach rate. That's absurd. Wow. Which is why, there's a lot riding on this game. It's gonna be a big game no matter what. But yeah, they're gonna want to nail it, of course. Kind of on a related topic though, given, I think some speculate like could this be like one giant world, which could lend itself well to a single player campaign. Obviously, that actually is the case where you actually travel between regions. Do we think there's a chance of that, or do we think it really is just more zone based, if you will, where it's like giant maps, but they're all independent of each other?
I think there's a slight chance for it to be like a giant connected world on those giant highways, and because they've kind of hinted at that in the past, like your cool bits of showing different areas seen in the distance. I think it's a potential to do that and have it as a huge wow factor for Switch 2 hardware. It'll be a huge selling point to say like you can go anywhere.
Just real quick, like Nintendo's second trailers do have a way of like blowing past their expectations, and maybe that's a thing they're hiding. Where it's like, you saw those mushroom mountains in the background. Not only can you go there, you can go well beyond them to the ocean or wherever else.
It depends though on like if there is a Wonder Seed that completely changes the tracks.
Yeah.
Like if they do that, I don't think we're getting open world. So that's the thing.
What do you think, Nick?
I think it's definitely possible, especially if it does tie into like a story mode, a single player story mode. But I can easily picture like maybe you're not picking specific cups anymore, and it's just a giant world, and then you pick sections of the world, and then it zooms in, and then you pick the next map, and then it just brings you right in. Like there's maybe a couple layers to the level selections. Like okay, what side of the world you want to go? Kind of like I guess Mario Odyssey, right, where you can just easily switch between places on the planet.
Yeah, kind of like a contextual geography for where everything is, but not necessarily physically connected.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually think I probably see that more than a true open world. I think if it were a true, like, giant, singular, connected open world, I think we may have seen some kind of tease of that in the distance, like a different biome or something. But, maybe not. And maybe they are hiding that. But I am, at this point, expecting more just kind of like big zone racetracks, so... Yeah.
Do we think that the coins outside of the actual races are going to be used for anything else, like a possible shop or something? Or it's just like you get 100 coins and then you get a brand new tires, or you get a brand new body for the car or wing? And on top of that, do we think there's going to be more expansions to the cars, or is it just going to be the 3 ones we've had since 3DS?
The 3 body, like the 3. Sorry, what types?
So like the you can change the glider, you can change the body of the car, and then you can change like the wheels.
Well, related, we only know gliders or underwater.
Yeah, we don't.
We know they're back yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So
do you
like
think,
back to my
Don?
do you guys think the coins are going to be used for anything else besides
I hope
that?
so.
I think presets are more a possibility when it comes to cards, because I do think with the setup they've had from like since 3DS, it's nice, but I don't think necessarily like stats influence the race very much. Like only like the main body influenced most things.
Yeah.
So if you just have one straight up body, I don't think it changes necessarily much over the stats from across that game.
I kind of want them to ditch the individual card parts only because it takes my friends hours to
It
set up
does.
the freaking... It's so annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, just choose something.
Wait, that on top of the controls, like you have to show them. Oh, make sure you have auto gas on, or
Yeah.
make sure you turn off the motion controls, and then then you have to pick the cards. It does take a while.
Yeah. Nick, I'll say for coins and stuff, maybe for customization options and outfits, like
there you
stickers
go.
on your cards, sure. Like, I think they could do that to make people stand out more.
I mean, I think it actually would be really cool. Again, even if it's not full open world, there is some kind of like, hub you can explore where you, like kind of like Mario Party, where there's like different shops you can go to and you can buy like, new decals or costumes for your characters or whatever. That could be fun. And I think that would be a fun use for coins, even if they don't, even if they don't change how they work in the gameplay sense when racing, which I also hope they do, but I would love more uses of them, period. But yeah, that could be fun. So, and it could actually provide a good incentive for playing single player too, as you were kind of saying, where like you win coins by winning races, and hopefully that'll be online as well. But so
Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else about Mario Kart 9? Maybe we're hoping for. Is it even gonna be called Mario Kart 9? Yeah, Nick.
So going back to what we previously discussed with the mouse controller, I'm hoping for some kind of customization. If it's not track, like let us make a little decal for our car or something like it was on DS. But I'm a sucker for customization. I was a big fan of Mod Nation Racers. So like if we can customize a track and especially use a mouse, like maybe that is a selling feature for this game. I don't think they would emphasize it too much, but again, like I'm a huge fan for customization. Making my own tracks and sharing with friends is such a good time. So I hope that is in there.
A course creator, a track creator would be so good. Finally, Mario Maker or Mario Kart Maker. And like with
Yeah,
this, go ahead, Tom.
I can only imagine the rainbow roads that we created.
Oh my god, I can't imagine. It would be insane. Jeez, yeah, that could be fun, especially with like the amount of space that they seem to have to play with this time. That could be really freaking cool if you can just like you can choose a biome and then make your own racetrack in there or something. Or at the least, maybe you can customize a current racetrack so you can close off the routes you want and open up the others, and then kind of like choose from a preset but still make your own unique version of it.
I didn't even think about that one. I do like that idea. Because then you can easily share those with friends or share them to hopefully the social network, because they're going to need to tie that into Mario Kart in some way.
Oh, absolutely.
What's better than to do that than actually having customization for your game?
Oh, if this game's server based, you might be able to like just tune into like random people's races. Like, wouldn't that be neat? Like,
Oh yeah. Totally.
maybe you could. Oh, they wouldn't do this now, but like you could bet on matches too. You could do that in Smash Brothers Brawl, I think, but they're not gonna do that anymore these days.
No.
But anyways, I think that could be fun if you just like tune into random races or watch your friend race, online or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Watch your favorite YouTube channel race online.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah. I hope too. Like they make it easier now to set up actual like racing events. The tournament feature of Mario Kart 8 is it was cool, but it also kind of sucks too. And I think there's a lot more potential with something like that. And I hope that they realize it, because I think Mario Kart is Mario Kart is still like, even though it's online, it still so much adheres to the pre-online era. In terms of like just general design, and I think there's so much more they could do now. Like Splatoon, like just really embrace the online community and just make it feel more of an event. Whether it's through like the event, the Splatfest type things we mentioned, or making it easier for streamers to separate with their fan base or whatever it is.
And
Right.
that would be so cool to tie in a hub world where you can just jump in with your friends. Oh, where should we go? What do we want to do? And that can tie into like the open world of the game. And like imagine being in a little hub world, and kind of like Tom said with the events tying into like new releases of a new first party game, like having a little banner where it's like, oh, welcome Samus from Metroid Prime 4, or welcome Isabelle from the new Animal Crossing,
Right.
and you can see them right there, and maybe they unlock after a couple of days. But just driving around that little area, waiting for your friends to get into a lobby, because the lobby for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just everyone walking around on the little planet, right? Like there's nothing more than that. You can't really do much besides saying like, oh, I'm using motion controls, or I'm using tilt controls. Like make it a little bit more fun than that.
Go easy on me.
Yeah, go easy on me. It's my last race.
Bye bye.
So do we think, to change topics a bit here, do we think this looks like a Switch 2 game? I mean, like, you see it, does this scream, this needed to be on Switch 2? Have you noticed anything about it that seems like, yeah, I can see why it's on Switch 2? Or did you find it at all, underwhelming graphically or anything, or any other way?
I wouldn't say it's graphically underwhelming. It's purely we don't know really how powerful this system really is.
Yeah, we don't.
So it looks nice, and Nintendo once again is the champion of optimizing their games. So sometimes it's also simply really hard to tell.
Yeah, and the thing with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it looks good on Wii U. So, I mean, I can't imagine how much better this new Mario Kart is going to look. So, as long as it looks like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and it somewhat does, like you said, Andre, you couldn't tell if this was just a booster course pass or a brand new game.
First,
I'm happy with how it looks. So
it did look. I mean, Mario Kart was still one of the best looking, Wii U and Switch games. Yeah, so.
It's the curse of Nintendo's style, right? Like, they can create like a timeless style, but then when you have new, more powerful hardware, it's like, But having more race cars on screen at once, more characters, and the huge draw distance, that kind of implies a bit of a jump. But it's not like a fighting game where it's like 2 characters and a crazy environment, like being blown away instantly. It doesn't have the same impact, especially from like not being in the driver's seat at all, too. And not seeing items being flown around. Like,
right, that's true too.
I think we're kind of missing out on some of it. And Mario Kart, like, it's gonna take. If we saw more environments, maybe more obvious. Like, we just got like the one. It's a desert. Desert's like, there's not a lot to them, right? It's not like a huge lush forest environment. So I think that's part of it why it doesn't quite hit.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Actually, we don't know the full extent of the gameplay yet. I mean, I was just thinking now, like, imagine had we seen Breath of the Wild within the context, those style visuals, but within the context of a standard 3D Zelda game, more confined linear environments. I think most would agree it doesn't look that great. It looks disappointing. But then you see that, at the scale of Breath of the Wild, this massive world, it's like, okay, that makes complete sense, Not that it's a bad looking game anyway, but I think, you know what I'm saying. And this Mario Kart is truly much grander if the items maybe are more interactive or more, dynamic or whatever it is. Like, I could see why, maybe I can imagine, like, okay, I can see why this definitely required the power of Switch 2. Not even to mention the fact that there's 24 racers now, which probably is no small feat either. So I'm excited to see what the next trailer, showcases to see. It's like, okay, I get it now. I will say, though, I think for the first reveal, I was kind of still hoping, maybe expecting for it to be a little bit more obvious, that this is a substantial departure visually from what we had seen. And I like, for instance, I think even going for like a toon shaded art style could really befit Mario Kart well. And maybe they'll do that in the future. I think that, like, if they made it look like the Super Mario Kart box art, that would be amazing.
That was my hope.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be such a perfect fit. We're not getting that. I will say, though, what we have seen, like the smaller tweaks to the character designs, like how Mario seems to be kind of balancier and stretchier. Probably every character is. And, of course, the redesign for Bowser and to a much greater degree Donkey Kong. It is nice to see that kind of like fresh coat of paint on everything. And again, we've only seen a handful of characters close up. The rest are like tiny pixels. They can just barely make out who they are, And I'm excited to see what the full roster looks like when we see them in full motion.
I'm honestly shocked that we didn't get any teases to new characters. Like, even when you zoom in, everyone just looks like they've been there before. I think it's like Pauline and Toadette, and maybe a Goomba, Baby Mario, Baby Luigi. Characters like that. There's not even a little tease of, oh, this is a brand new character that's never been in Mario Kart before.
What do you mean this Donkey Kong design has never been in the Mario Kart?
Yeah, it does kind of feel like they showed us like the least amount possible, right? Like, here's the tiniest the taste you get. You're not seeing anything beyond this. But yeah, obviously there's gonna be at least some new characters. Who can they be though? Like, who do we want?
Right.
Sledge Bro.
Yeah, there he's an
I don't
audience,
know
but
the
he could be a
Furo
racer
roster,
too. Yeah.
Oh, add Spike from the Mario movie.
Who?
Spike from the Mario,
Yeah,
not from the Mario movie, but
hell
Spike,
yeah,
right?
bring Spike. I mean, honestly, I think Donkey Kong kind of opens the door a little bit to that with his redesign. I think there is a chance that Spike could be here, and that'd be such a fun tie-in, and also, like, just give it another another element that might appeal to people who saw the Mario movie, but maybe necessarily wouldn't pick up the next Mario Kart. Not that I think Spike is the deciding factor. Maybe maybe tip the scales a little bit more in its favor. So.
But even tying into the Mario movie, add like Mario and Luigi's parents. Like, that would be so funny.
Francis the dog.
Please do, yes, please do.
I just want them to go full weird and add like a Cappy Yoshi costume to Yoshi.
Oh man.
So it's really just Mario then, right? That just controls Yoshi.
Yes.
Full weird.
Or-
Like, there's a racetrack set in Bowser's Dreams of Peaches or something.
Or there's a track based on Dinosaur Falls from Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, there
I
we
would
go.
love
Yeah.
that.
I've long wanted New Donk City to be a track. I think that could be amazing, especially because at this scale it will be huge. Like they could reinvent New Donk City and make it feel like just, I don't know, really fun to explore and race around.
Like, New Donk City would be
New Donk
perfect
City.
because New Donk City they had it in Smash, they had it in Mario Golf, I believe. Can you imagine just going up on like anti-gravity up the tower, like that middle building, just
yeah.
driving up that? That would be so much fun.
That would be.
At the end, though, are you going over all the Donkey Kong girders in the sky? Like,
Oh, that
trying
would be
to-
perfect.
Now I almost want a Mario Wonder track.
Yeah, well, hey, we have the Wonder Seeds.
Wow.
Maybe every track could be a Mario Wonder track.
Yeah.
Well, literally one in one of the planes
Yeah.
of the Flower Kingdom.
The one of the dancing prom or singing prom plants.
That would be fun.
that
That would like the Taiko one and the arcade one.
Yeah, that'd be great. Trying to think of what else. Like this, there's a lot of like I think there's a lot of room they could explore. But it's interesting. They don't actually visit proper Mario locations all that often. Yoshi's Island is one of the few examples recently. There's Donkey Kong stages and a handful of others. But it would be fun if they actually did explore more actual Mario locations than Mario Kart.
They should.
Yeah.
They should though.
be
Yeah,
great.
Like tying back into the Mario movie, it just takes place in Brooklyn, right? Like, so if it was just a Brooklyn stage specifically from the Mario, I mean, it's not crazy because they have the LA stage, they have the New York stage, they have all the
Right.
city stages, so it's not too crazy to think about.
Honestly, I would love if they had Mario Kart lean more into like his Mario movie origin story, being from Brooklyn, which is what I grew up with anyway. And yeah, they just have straight up Brooklyn there. That'd be awesome. And I loved the portrayal of Brooklyn in the Mario movie. Like it was a fun, like cartoonish take on it, and that'd be great to just race around in a proper city environment. With different pathways you can go. Like I actually really like a lot of the more classic Mario City-based tracks. But seeing something on this giant scale of like Brooklyn could be really fun on this huge world of the new Mario Kart. So.
Isn't it crazy to think about how much Mario content has been released over the 11 years they could tap on?
Yeah, you're right. That they've been ignoring pretty much, because there hasn't been a new Mario Kart game to take advantage of it. So yeah, there's a lot they could do. I mean, Mario Odyssey alone has so much potential. And that's not even to mention, all the other Marios. So, or other franchises.
like
outside Mario.
3D World.
3D
Oh, yeah,
World,
they-
sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they have
Yeah.
any stages from 3D World or even like 3D Land. But to tie in stages from Odyssey, I love. Why can't I think of it? It's the third stage. Oh my god.
I'm trying to think
First
myself.
stage.
What's
It's
the
a grass
theme?
one. It's grass.
Because-
It's where they get the
Forest?
flowers from, I believe.
The
why can't I
third one is the Sand Kingdom.
Oh,
Is
is
it
it,
the-
is it the Wooded Kingdom or whatever?
Wooded Kingdom, that's
Yeah,
it. That's one of my
that's a
favorite
great one,
stages in the
too.
game. Like that would
I-
be perfect for more because it is pretty big. They have the underground part where the T-Rex is. They have the flat level, and then all the way up top where you fight the boss. So there's so much verticality there.
I would love if they brought in some of the characters from that game too as racers, like the little robot guys or a T-Rex somehow. Fit him into a little cart. It's so good. So
Little wood characters from Galaxy 2.
Yeah, that worked too. I mean, there's a lot of like weird characters they could go with if they wanted to, and they may have to in this case with how big the roster is going to have to be.
Oh, for sure. But it's also
Did they-
been a while since the last proper Mario Kart, so it feels time to add more weird stuff finally.
Seriously, I'm sick of babies. I'm sick of we know they're back though. I'm sick of all the metal characters. No more metal characters. I guess maybe a skins, fine. But don't make them their own bespoke entities, and don't have them count as a slot on the roster.
What do you mean you don't know about the big lore about Pinkle Peach?
Oh my god, freaking Pink.
Yeah, are we
also
gonna get more
I don't
babies
want to
then?
see. Sorry.
Are we gonna get more? Are we gonna get Baby Wario and Baby Donkey Kong?
I mean, they do exist from
They do
Yoshi's
exist,
Island
so
too.
it is
They
possible they could add them. I don't want more babies either.
I know.
Well, to be fair, I would prefer them over a character that technically doesn't exist, which is Baby Rosalina.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Oh, yeah, she does not exist.
I mean, I guess she was presumably a baby at one point, but still, the whole thing's weird. So,
Yeah.
or they could go super weird. Let's bring in
Like-
Baby Mario's dad and Baby Mario's mom.
Yeah, like, how did Baby Rosalina get that crown? She
Well, no.
wasn't a space princess at that time.
Good point. Doesn't make sense. How about Baby Mario? Why would we go Superman on this?
Yeah, sure, why not? Why not? Yeah, sure.
No, it's like pink gold baby Mario.
Oh my god. Yeah. They could go really stupid. You know, I'm here for it at this point. Just do something different. Yeah, we've seen so many of the same characters too for so long. And Mario Kart 7 is probably one. Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart 7 probably had some of the more unique characters. We had, Rob, then we had not Lakitu, Wiggler or Queen Bee. Bring Queen Bee back.
was so random.
Yeah, so random. No one ever expected her, but you know what? Now we kind of miss her, And they did have like posters teasing her in some courses in Mario Kart 8, so maybe now's the time to bring her back. So
I wouldn't Wario in his WarioWare outfit.
that'd be cool. Yeah,
That would be
classic
fitting.
would,
Yeah, because he's a biker, so that'd be so
Yeah, it
fitting.
makes sense.
It actually makes too much sense.
Yeah, sorry, Daan,
Yeah,
something having too
yeah.
much sense. Sorry.
I've seen some people mention in the trailer. I didn't touch on it in my analysis. I was considering it, but I'm like, there's too much to talk about.
Sure.
How at points it almost looks like the racers may be purposefully like bouncing into each other. I didn't look super close, but it almost looked like to me like it may have just been the standard like kind of car jostling you already have. But what if there was an element like that, kind of like Double Dash, where you could punch each other? I don't think they would do that again, but maybe they could have like almost a slight side attack type thing, where you can do some kind of
be nice.
offensive maneuver without having an item. Sorry, what, Don?
So that will be nice.
Yeah.
Because it's basically a side bump.
Right.
Which is not unusual in a racing game.
F-Zero has it, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
wait,
side bump. It kind of looks like Bowser's kind of punching one guy at one point.
He
Like,
reacts
bring
to
that back
something,
would be
yeah.
huge. So.
So are you guys saying, like, would this replace, like, the item button? Like, if you don't have an item, you can just hit someone? Or would this be a brand new button?
That would just be as like L or R, and then you bump left or right, basically.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Mario Kart already uses so few buttons. Yeah, you could easily just map it to the shoulders like they did with Double Dash, where you can punch left or right based on which shoulder button you're hitting. So,
And I don't
but,
remember
I mean, Ibon makes sense too. Sorry, go ahead.
In Double Dash, do you get an item from someone? Like, if they're holding it...
Yeah,
and
you can
punch
steal
them
their
right,
items.
You get it.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
so
can,
that'd be
yes.
so much fun.
Exactly. Yeah, you can actually it would add another layer of complexity to the gameplay, without I think going overboard. Like it's like kind of like a natural extension of how Mario Kart works.
And that can tie
I
into, like,
guess-
the Diddy Kong racing style, where you're holding onto an item and you pick up a new item and it could upgrade. So it's like, oh, do I want to upgrade this item? Or do I want to risk someone trying to steal this item from me just by
I can only
punching them?
imagine that. I'd be like, get away from me! Get away from me!
I'll use the item. I'll use it.
Oh, that's so good. Like, yeah, maybe if you have a gold mushroom, maybe you don't want to be boosting right by everyone, right? They can just grab it from you. Man, that's a good idea. I like this. Yeah.
Well, like you're holding on to it for a good spot or to use it, but then like people start coming to you and you're kind of forced to use
Right.
it or lose it.
And it's you can already see if you have the side map open which which item has, so you can specifically target the person with the item you want to get.
Oh man, that'd be wild. Yeah, I'm liking this idea. So, what if we kind of touched on it briefly earlier, but like I mentioned, we haven't seen officially the return of underwater or flying or anti-gravity. Do we think it's a safe bet that all of those are back, or do we think there's a chance that they may not be? And is that a big deal or not?
Hard to say. I mean, it's understandable if they weren't there, if they're really going to do something else. But considering how much they are integrating with the franchise at this point, it feels weird if at least have some elements there. Even if it's like in a track or two, it doesn't have to be every track. But it would be weird to completely omit it if you are building something for this many years and doing so much with it.
Like Don said, it's kind of integrated with Mario Kart at this point, because
Yeah.
it started off all the way back on 3DS, and we've been playing with it for 15 years now over that. So it'd be kind of weird if it wasn't there. But at the same time, if they're trying to make themselves as different from Mario Kart 8, which you can play on the Switch too, then yeah, maybe just take it out altogether.
Good point, actually. Yeah, I mean that actually is a really good point in favor of making it more, more distinct from the previous game, because you can play it on that same system. I will personally say I wouldn't care if any or all three of those are gone. I mean they're fine. anti-gravity is cool, but doesn't really change the gameplay at all. And I actually don't like flying at all. I think it could be good. I just don't like how it's implemented right now. So I think so I wouldn't mind if they go back more to a back to basics approach when it comes to actual racing, where it is mostly on the ground. But I do want to be clear, if they do make flying a bigger part of it and maybe more engaging, I think that could be fun. Like, Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed. Like, I think that game did a better job or Diddy Kong Racing as well. Like, those both had fun flying mechanics, and I wish Mario Kart,
Yeah, because that's flying. Well, in Mario Kart, it's gliding. So.
Right, yeah. Kind of a big difference there, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about this new Mario Kart game that we haven't touched on yet that you are hoping to see or are wondering about? Mario wondering about?
I think someone brought up a good point in the GameXplain Discord that what happened to all the cows at Moo Moo Meadows with that Yoshi's hamburger stand. So, kind of wondering, like, are they doomed, or will there be a Moo Moo Meadows, and will it be amazing? What do you think?
I just want a giant pasture, full of cows everywhere. I will be content. Just give me that at sunrise, and that'll be perfect. That's my
It's like a Wonder effect with like just unlimited cows like stampeding or herding through the level.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Not necessarily anything, but there's a fun story that I sort of want to tell. So, Willem, who did stuff on his channel a bunch of times with me, he overheard two young boys watching the Switch 2 trailer, and they called it Mario Kart 2.
Really? That's so interesting.
Because the only game they've ever known was Mario Kart 8.
They only know it as Mario Kart, and that's, I imagine it's the case for a lot of people with how long this game has been out for,
Yeah.
Like it's literally been like an entire generation, Isn't
that crazy? Just literally more than a decade.
Yeah, it's nuts. So yeah, which kind of speaks again to the whole reason for why they kind of need to change this one up a bit. Like they want to give those people probably something new to experience, who only know it as Mario Kart. And
yes, they do.
That's awesome. It's like how when I was a kid, everyone called every system Nintendo. That Sega is a Nintendo. PlayStation is a Nintendo. So man. Anything else? Are there any, do we have a dream edition for this game? I know we've touched on a lot already, but is there any final Daan got really excited there. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What is it? I gotta hear this now.
Mona from WarioWare. Why not?
Sure, I like it. Actually, that poor cast have been so neglected outside the WarioWare games, right?
Yeah.
They fit so well in Mario Kart. They have such a lively personality. All of them do.
Oh god, especially like Spitz and whatever. Like they have the taxi vehicles already, right? They should be drivers.
Spitz and Dribble, yeah.
Spit and Dribble, thank you. Yes, that's a great idea. I like that. How about you, Nick? What's your dream edition? Is it the open, or the single player campaign?
Besides the single player, it might be the first party characters outside of the Mario world. Because they really did tease that so well with Mario Kart 8, adding Link and Isabelle and the Inklings. So if I'm a sucker for Star Fox. If Fox can get in anyway, and he can drive his R-Wing or drive his Landmaster or something. Even characters that don't fit. They added Link in there, and Link doesn't really fit until he got the Master Cycle, right? So
why is it Captain Falcon in there? His track and car is there. Makes sense. Or Samus.
Hey! There was an amiibo costume.
Oh,
there was an amiibo costume.
Right.
Speaking of amiibos, not amiibos, but the Miis. Do we think the Miis are coming back?
Hard to say.
It might be our first proof if they do or not.
Man, that's a good question.
Again, if they want to keep this so different from Mario Kart 8, and they haven't really done much with the Miis recently, so why not just gut them?
The last real push they've made with the Miis was, I guess, Switch ports and the Switch port of Miitopia?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I've done anything much with the Miis since those two.
And even the Switch Sports, they had those generic-looking Xbox Miis.
Yeah,
if you wanted to play as a Mii, you had to pick them separate from that.
Yep, that was weird. Yeah.
It's so funny that Rare made avatars. Like, Rare always kind of one-upping Nintendo or doing something they did, so... It's going to depend on if that C button hooks up to some social network or not, I'd say.
I think you're right. Tom, what's your dream feature?
So, obviously the dream feature is always a boss, so more realistic though, to use the mouse and not have a full-blown track editor, but allow you to create routes within the stage worlds to make different racetracks compete with your friends, like different course layouts from existing tracks.
I think that'd be cool. I'm there for it.
By the way, I stand corrected on two things. One, there were more missions in tournament mode on Wii.
All right, I'll take it.
But there were 5 types though, which is the thing I
that
just
makes
remember.
sense. Yeah.
And then second, the last time they actually used Mies was with the Nintendo Museum.
Oh,
did
that's
they
actually
really?
pretty recent then. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because you
maybe-
can actually have them on your entry card.
Good one. Maybe a sign of increased prominence on Switch 2. We'll see. So yeah, I think
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, I think was it Tom saying that? Yeah, there's a social component that may factor in. I could see that. So, all right. I guess is it my turn now? I guess for
Yeah, it's your turn.
Yes.
Obviously, I mean, I'll just get out of the way. If there's a double dash feature here, I would freaking adore that. Like, let's pare it down to 12 carts, but the 2 people per cart, one driver, one gunner. That'd be amazing. But whether or not that happens, I think another cool feature is if they expanded it. So I've kind of touched on this a little bit before, but with the mouse. But I want to do it outside the mouse. Is if you can more freely aim your weapons. So like, what if you can use the right stick? You actually can aim your shell in 360 degrees accuracy. You want to shoot the guy next to you? You can now. If you want to like maybe shoot your banana just a little bit farther ahead than a set distance, you just push your right stick just up a little bit. And I think that could really kind of like add a new layer to it without really making it too complicated. And then that'd be really interesting.
So,
Well,
Andre,
that's
with that
cool.
idea, are you thinking that you would have a cursor? So, like, if you're trying to project how far you're going to
Yeah,
shoot it,
like a
you
little,
move
like
it
a little,
forward.
like cone of light would appear ahead of you,
Yeah.
showing where your banana's gonna land.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right.
That's interesting. Yes.
Yeah,
I was
Because
gonna say-
because the simple throw mechanics that they currently use cannot be very intuitive, because
No.
if you throw it forward, it's always a set distance. So I think it makes sense to try that for sure.
yeah, and I think it should work fine with the controls. You just you have to adjust them a little bit, but you know, you put your put gas on like a trigger, for instance, and then your thumb is freed up for the right stick. You know, and of course you can offer simplified controls too for those who want it. You know, where you don't have that degree of accuracy. But yeah.
Yeah, items with more skill. Mario Kart VR kind of dabbled in this, where you can kind of look around and throw your shell a different way, I believe. I played it twice, but that's kind of what I remember being super unique about it.
I missed that. I only played that once and then never again.
I wanted to try it. I had the option at E3, but couldn't get to it. So,
Tom, and you bring up Mario Kart VR, and the Mario Kart ride, when you're looking around, that's how you shoot. That's where you're aiming. You're moving your head around to shoot.
good
Yeah.
point. You're right. See, there's precedent for this. It
Yeah,
should
there
happen,
is.
darn
Yeah.
it. And also, I'll just add on to that. I want if they somehow made a Labo VR version or whatever VR version there is for Switch 2, I'd be there for that too. It would just be fun to play Mario Kart in VR, as Tom and Don can attest to. I think so. Yeah. All right, I think we're about done here. Is there anything we missed? Did we cover everything? I think we did. We've been playing.
think
We've
we
been talking
did.
for a while. Thank God we did this as a separate discussion, right? Jesus. Is there anything else though? Are we completely caught up?
No, I think we're good.
All right. I think we've exhausted it. You agree, Nick?
I think. When's the next trailer coming out? Are we just assuming it's coming out April?
It will be
Yeah.
100% April. Yeah.
Yeah.
1,000%.
We'll find a new... The gimmick for this Mario Kart will be there, then we'll see what's so special about it at that point.
I'm excited. I'm more, I don't know about you guys. I'm more hyped for this game right now than I am actually for the Switch 2 itself. I know they're intertwined.
Oh no, but
yeah.
but to me it's always been more about the
games.
software you can play. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So to see something physical when it comes to something corporeal when it comes to games is so far more important, because we can talk about hardware, and we did for quite a while.
yeah.
But I think with a game we spend an equal amount of time talking about it. So I think that tells you a lot.
And that makes me happy. Like, I will say, like, after the initial possible disappointment of, like, the quick flash we had in the reveal trailer, but after doing that deep dive, I'm like, okay, this game is actually looking more exciting than it seemed. Now, of course, we don't know for sure if everything I speculated or even half of it is going to come true or not, or that we speculated, but if even...
But it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what else there may be there that we didn't touch on, and just to see the full extent of what exactly it is that we think we saw. And I'm looking forward to seeing more on this game. So... Yeah, that's great. It's nice to be excited for a new Mario Kart for the first time in freaking over 10 years. So,
You know what's funny, Andre? We did
What?
discussions on the original version of Mario Kart 8.
forever ago. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. It's been so
We're
freaking long.
we're still here. We're
Yeah, I have
still
more
here,
gray hair now.
surviving.
I think we're excited about
Sure.
the game more than the actual console because the game didn't leak. The console did. We had
Yeah,
no idea. We,
a good
we
point.
knew
For
Mario
sure.
Kart was coming,
No,
but we had
for
no
sure.
idea.
Yeah.
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 No, or that it would be even one of the games that they showed, or the only game that
Yeah.
they showed. So, yeah,
But it's an interesting parallel, right? Because it feels like the Switch trailer was two parts. Like it was the hardware reveal, then sort of the shots, and then moving to Mario Kart. It does feel at some point that they have added this and stuff. We should probably show a game, right?
it does feel that way. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad they agreed, because that would have been sad if we didn't get any kind of game there. And I'm glad. I'll be happy with any number of games, but I'm not unhappy with Mario Kart. It's fun to see
Oh, no, for sure.
what they're doing here, and I can't wait to find out more. So, on that note, I think that's going to finally wrap it up for us here, everyone. Thanks for hanging in there with our two-part discussion of our retrospective on the event from 3 days ago now for the Switch 2. Thanks for watching. Before we wrap it up here, though, we got to go through the panel and let them tell you where you can follow them at. Let's go in different order this time. Tom, let's start off with you. Where can people follow your projects at?
Find me on YouTube at Steftendo. That's my channel. Go follow Steftendo right now. That's what I'll leave it at. Thank you.
Darn it, Tom! You are making a game in the same the same racing, not racing, but car-based genre as Mario Kart. This is your time to
No, that's
promote
me, that's me.
Harpoon.
I'm making a game
I'm
called
sorry.
Harpoon,
Right,
yeah.
that's Nick. My bad.
I'm making a game called Carpoon. You can wishlist it now on Steam. That is Carpoon. It's on Steam, so go wishlist it there. Made by Tom, me.
There are links to that in the description below, along with what Daan is about to tell us. Daan, where can people follow you? Or
Andre,
whatever your
where
name may be,
can
Daan. I don't know who's who anymore.
Andre, where can people find me?
They can find you can find Daan, me now apparently, on every social media at Nintendon, which is NINTENDAAN. Double N there, right? I got that right, Andre?
No, double A.
I'm sorry, a double A. That's a double N.
It's NINTNDAAN.
Who even knows what
Yeah,
anything is anymore? What's time?
Yeah, it's YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube once again.
Awesome. A lot of places. You've been doing a lot of stuff on your YouTube channel recently too, I know. So go check that out.
It's got like daily quick looks almost. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes. I mean, I have 4 years of good eShop games to catch up on. I'm not doing the shitty ones anymore. Thank you. I'm not. This is my TED Talk.
Dawn's TED Talk is slipping in the curse word in the final part of a hour-and-a-half discussion. All right, on that note, everyone, we are done here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let us know in the comments what you're expecting from Mario Kart. What do you think of our ideas? We want to hear it. Do we have good ideas, dumb ideas? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and you catch links to everything we just mentioned in the description below. Catch you later. Bye, everyone. And click the link on screen to the part 1 discussion if you missed it for the hardware itself.